Alright, hello, hello, hello. How's it going there, Daniel? How's it going? The geek of literary everything. How's it going? How's it going there, Gibworks? How are you? How are you? Alright, so I did a bunch of stuff off screen with the whale. I'm calling it Minky, as named after a minke whale. And so I had to make a not that big of a change, but if you notice, the wings are different. And so before it was a tilt wing. There are some benefits IRL to a tilt wing, really none in game, but I prefer a tilt wing if I can do it. The issue being that I was having an uncommanded roll that I couldn't fix, and so I kind of went through a testing regime, and I finally figured out it was all due to the complete wing pivoting with the control surface. So that was a potential thing that I knew it might be, so that's what it is. And so I changed it up to a tilt rotor. So it's a tilt wing and rotor. So there's wing segments on there, and then we have stators. These are the stator wings. They stay in place. That's where stator comes from, because it's stationary. And so this is what I came up with. So that fixed a bunch of those issues. Let's see, what else did I work on here? That works a little bit better for me for the doors, so you don't have to worry about these wings interfering with the doors. I need to fix something up in the door, I remember from last night. What else did I do? But it was a lot of testing, trying to get those problems, so I mainly went through and I got some of the really, kind of the problems that would kind of stop me from having this be functional. I really want to have this functional and work well, so that was something that was an issue that pretty much have licked now, so that is good. So I need to check the ramp and the, I was working on gear. Alright, so I'm going to rebuild these gear. So I'm beefing up the gear to look better, and so one of the issues I'm going to run into here is because this is all the way up to the top and it's all the way to the bottom, I currently can't put any blocks in here, so I'm going to try some trickery. As you can see, I can't put any blocks in there. I'm going to try some trickery to fix this, to put the gear doors back on. But I went ahead and built some trailing link gear. So the way trailing link gear works is, this is what was in the a lot of aircraft now, is you essentially have a rear link that is behind the pivot point, and that is for it allows the strut to compress, and it makes it less of a shocking hit when you land. So made some trailing link gear. The issue, like I said, I'm having is I'm at the block limit, so I'm going to try a couple things here to fix this, and we'll see if we can't get these in. So I'm going to kind of operate as though these gear are modules. And so I'm going to pull the whole module out. And then I'm going to hopefully fix it. Alright, so this can go to there. So here's the new module. I need to go up to get all the gear. Alright. Alright, so there's a module. So this is going to cut, and do I have everything I need? I think I do. Alright, good. Nope, what's that? Alright, good. That's going to be the pivot point. So we'll cut this module out, and we'll see if I can paste it back in. I might have to do some chicanery to fix this, but we'll see. Alright. So I need to redo the gear doors here, because this is the gear. So how do I, let me see. Let's cut this, and I was going to just cut out the other module, but I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is do this. I'm going to put it in an identical position to the other one. That way I can use symmetry still. So we'll cut this out, and we'll raise it up, and we'll put it in the same spot. So it should be right there. Should be right there. Beautiful. And now I should be able to work on both of them. Let me catch up in chat here. Oh, you changed your name? Copy, copy. Yep, if you're on Discord too, just go ahead and change your name on the other names. That's always helpful. That way I know who everybody is on the different platforms. I don't like how the wing pivots differently either side of the prop. Well, that's how it's going to go. Give it a belly under the wheels? I don't know what you talk about. Yeah, I understand it doesn't need to be sealed, but it needs to be sealed because I want it to be sealed. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead and we will start blocking this out and fixing this up here. So I'm just gonna... do I merge it or not? I think not right now. Alright, so let's go pivot here. I think we'll go... Let's see, count my numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, that can go to a longer piece. All right, let's stick it here, and I'll work with it and see what I need to do here. So symmetry's on. Okay, that'll go like that. All right. And then what's this gonna be? That's gonna be a 4 now as well. That's good. Alright, so these gonna be beefier gear. These are gonna look more the part. And we'll get to paint on these as well. What is that missing there all about? Okay, that's just need the block in here. Okay. There we go. Alright, so that should hopefully be symmetrical on this side nicely. Okay, good. I could double up the pivots, but I don't need to, so that should be fine like that. Alright, let's see. So let's do electricity on to these. Now we're at the point where everything's hooked up electronically, so I want to keep everything connected. I don't want to screw with it too much. And then I need to find my gear controller. Which I think is here now? Nope. Where is it? Where'd you go there, gear controller? You here? No. Bet you'll find it. Let's see. Right here. Okay. So that is tail doors. This is port and starboard. Okay, port and starboard. Did I even connect it? I didn't. Okay, port. And here's star right there. Alright, so those should be good now. Alright, so I think that module now looks pretty good. And so hopefully I can put that in. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, let's see if we can get that in there now. So let's see if this works. It may not like it. It's not going to like it. It doesn't look like it. It's going to try to cut it out. So I have to do it the other way. I tricked it before, and now I'm trying to re-trick it. Let's paste it really quick. It's probably going to get rid of everything. Let's check. Yep, okay. So I need to come up with a different way to do this. So let's go ahead and yank the tail. Worst case, I can drop the tail 1. This is just a limitation of this is at max size, so kind of have to do some nonsense to get this to work how I want it to. So let's grab this. Alright, and let's raise the whole build up. Alright, let's try to grab the modules now. Put the modules in. Worst case, I can screw with that beacon light. Because that's the only thing that needs one extra slot vertically for the beacon light, and I can do the beacons differently. So now, as you can see, that will go in now without protest. I can also cover this block up without protest. So these make it sit up a little bit higher as well, so I wanted that with the new gear. I wanted them to look beefier, and I wanted it to also sit up higher. So let's go. This is already pre-scaled, so we'll stick with the scale on this one. We lost a little bit of fuel capacity, but I can gain that back with putting microcontrollers in there if I really need it. I don't really necessarily need 52,000 pounds of fuel in there, 53,000 pounds of fuel in this plane, but what happened to all that? Oh, I didn't get everything. Crap. Let's just back up and clear. Okay. That was one off. There we go. Alright. So that gear module's in. Let's check everything. Okay. Alright, and so let's fix this distance sensor here too. I have a distance sensor that... Okay, the distance sensor is going to want to stay there. That's fine. So we'll put an XML block in there to cover it. And since that has no collision, the distance sensor should be able to see right through it. There we go, that fixes that. Alright, let's play with the tail. So this is now all the way down. Let's screw with the tail. And likely it's just going to cut the beacon out, and I'll play with the beacon later. I don't like doing a larger workbench. I try to keep it within the constrictions of the game. So I see it's going to cut out the... probably not going to re-accept the beacon when I go to put it back in, but that's not the end of the world. That was something that, because you know, I'm essentially I'm losing all my bottom stuff for this one block, so that's not worth it to me, so I can easily put a beacon somewhere else. I could do dual beacons somewhere else, so that's not a big deal. I'll screw with that later, so we'll just stick this right here for now. It's already plumbed in, so I'll replumb it. I'll probably put 2 beacons underneath the wing. A little bit unconventional, but that will allow me to do it the way I want it. So let's read some chat. Yep, remember the 12th of October. The space, treason, and plot. Yep, the whale is quite large. Yep, so I'm gonna call it the minke. You know, it looks like other whales more than the minke, but I like the name minke. Yeah, Whale Lord, it looks like Whale Lord, but... Oh, thank you, Big Man. Big Man, do you think I can fit a small snowmobile in here? Let's see if I can fit my snowmobile in here for Big Man's challenge. See if it will fit. It might fit. I think that's ready to go up to the Arctics. I think it will fit. Yeah. So, Big Man, I have a question with that. So, is it 7? Does it have to extend? Does it have to extend to 7, or can it be 7, like off the bat? Alright, so the new gear is in. Let's do a gear fold. I want to look up the new gear. I need to work on the tail wheel. So these new gear are a little bit higher, so it sits up a little bit higher and more realistically. These look beef cannon. I like the way these look. They're very beef. So they look slick and beef. So I'm digging on that. Let's make sure they function all right. I want to make sure. So they have trailing links. So they pivot here, and then they go into suspension. So they're trailing linked. And so what that means is that keeps them both touching the ground. These are hanging a little bit. I need to play with the suspension, but these should compress a little bit more. And then one thought I had too is kicking this tail wheel back here, but I don't know. I have to check through and see if I can get it in there right. But I'll play with that tail wheel a little bit. I'm not really thrilled with the way it is at present, so I have to fix it. Let's go for a quick taxi. So I fixed a bunch of the flight issues last night. A lot of it was just the way that the tilt wings were working. It was just it was causing phantom physics. Okay, 7 wide for the skis. Copy. Yeah. I might just bump mine out to 7 then, because it's 5 with the skis now. If they're working better, I might just knock them out 1. But luckily, that's pretty much done. I got you. Good. Yep. Yeah, that's one thing that if it was extending, I probably would have just left it. But that sounds good. So apparently the new gear has no problem taxiing, so as one can see, it gives me a little bit of spring in my step, which is nice. It sits up higher, which I like. It's not as likely to bang its belly on anything. So we'll go ahead and we'll take off at a 45 here. So with it sitting up, as you can see, I pretty much can't see the runway at all. That is not atypical of... Alright, I'm having a phantom physics issue now, I think. Let me see. There we go. Okay, it was just a tail wheel issue, I think. I don't know. It's trying to fight me to go right. Let's see. Let's bring the props down a second here. Okay, so see, the props are doing it again. They're having issues, so let's see what's up. Having an issue. I'll fix it in a second here, but let's go... let's not hit the trees. Let's hit the brakes for a second. Having all sorts of phantom physics issues yesterday, and I had them fixed, and now I'm having an issue again. I can join them together. I haven't joined them together yet, so... That's actually... I want to shut AP off. Cat's screaming at me. There we go. Alright, engines are starting to thrust up now. I'm hitting a tree, but I took damage off, so... So there's vertical flight. Could use a little bit of the gyro's a little bit too sensitive on some of that, so probably cut a little sensitivity out of it, and that will help. That's why it's wobbling a little bit, but not too bad. Then we're gonna start kicking them down, start transitioning forward flight. I'm gonna probably need to put a monitor for some of these really large airplanes, especially nowadays, have monitors for actually being able to see around the airplane, so I'll probably add some of that. Let's go ahead and... what is this? Nothing? Okay. Let's raise the gear, check out the new gear. New gear look nice and biff and buff and look the part. Alright, good. So let's go ahead. We'll go down another notch. We're up around 70 knots, starting to get to the point where we can sustain flight. We're up over 100 knots, that's good, and now we're all the way forward. And we're flying. So I have no, the auto hover's on, that's it right now. Let's go ahead and let's put in 2,000 feet. Check my trims, I want to make sure I have no trims. No trims, altitude hold. Alright, we're climbing. Let's go ahead, we'll put a quick little run to, where do we want to go here? Let's go into Harrison. So we'll come down here, and we'll head to Harrison. Nav GPS. This one was pretty quick, you know. I found this challenge to be pretty quick to work on. I did it in pretty much one video. You know, it still needs some finishing work, but it's mostly done. So that's the new. So it just has ailerons on the rear wing assemblies as well. It was getting too much lift in the front, so I wanted to cut some of that out. So that helps. So we're gonna do, so this would be like the pattern, like to talk about like the distances in Stormworks. If you're coming to land in Harrison in a real jet, you would come all the way out here, you'd come around here, and that would be your 10-mile final right there. It'd actually probably be a little bit longer, it'd probably be out to here. That's how long your final is IRL. You know, so it's like, it shows you how small this distance really is, because that's like what a normal jet would do for a final. You know, I'm not gonna cut it that wide. You know, plus a jet's going faster. You know, this is a little on the slower side comparatively. Like, I haven't brought the props back. Like, we can do 160 knots as best speed. I could probably improve that a little bit, but this is running pretty well now. We lost a couple thousand pounds of fuel, but I'm not really concerned about it. We still have over 50,000 pounds of fuel in this. So, cut a little bit of fuel out when I did work the new gear. I need to put gear doors on the rear. The rear is kind of an issue. I might rework the rear wheel a little bit. I have to think about that. Let's read some chat. Yeah, I don't really have much space. I could add a... The problem, too, is they need to sit flat. So... Will I publish it on Steam? I don't know. The more complicated builds I struggle to get out. I also, you know, it's a lot of work to get them finished. And I usually move on before I get them finished. We'll see. Alright, so we're going to go across. We're on our base leg, so we're going on a base here, and then we'll head into Harrison. I'm going to go ahead and go to best speed. So I'm going to start bringing the prop back. I tuned in the props, so there's no slop in the props anymore. So about 158 knots is our max, is our best speed. I have a little bit of a, it wants to sit sideways a little bit. I need to figure out what's up with that. It's you know, it's leveling out now that we're on waypoint, but sits a little, like, you can see it's sitting a hair crooked to the right. That's about it. You know, it looks right. It just, I don't know, bugs me a little bit. So I'm gonna reset our artificial horizon, seeing we're on level flight. So about, what's that, about 1 nautical mile from there, we're gonna put the next waypoint here. And we'll make our turn. And so it has too much rudder. I need to cut the rudder down a little bit. I threw the rudder up, so. Alright, so we're at 2,000 feet. We'll be looking for the runway. So at max speed, we're doing, let's see, 813 RPS, and then we'd want to go back to best efficiency, max economy. So we'll go back to max economy. The Mac, I know the Mac R will fit in there. I'm not sure about the other ones. They may fit in there. I'm not sure how tall it is, how tall the front door is. I know the Mac R will fit in there. So that's one of the things I wanted to be able to do, is make sure I could get a tractor trailer in here. So, all right, so max economy, we're down to 350 RP or 350 RPM, which is 5.8 RPS, and we're going 121 knots. So, which makes sense too. You wouldn't get a vehicle like this screaming fast because, like, look at all that drag. Like, it would cost you so much to try to get this thing to go fast IRL, so I don't want it going ultra fast. It's also turboprop. I want to keep kind of realistic turboprop speed. Something with this much drag wouldn't be going all that fast. So like the, let's see, Pregnant Guppy, max speed. So the Pregnant Guppy's top speed, it's a little bit faster, but that's at altitude. See, this is the thing that confuses people, is they think that is ground speed at sea level. It's not. It tends to be ground speed at altitude, which, for example, like I've gone 600 and, like, I think my fastest speed was like a little over 666 knots IRL, and that was ground speed. So my airspeed was still 320. I wasn't going faster than 320 airspeed, but my ground speed was 600. You know, so that's the other thing, is they'll say the max speed's this, but that, you know, is that indicated, or is that what their ground speed was? It's probably showing indicated. All right, pushing the props forward. So eventually I'm going to push the props all the way forward, and they will. So we put the gear down, I've got the autopilot off. I'm just flying by hand here, looking for the airport. All right, there comes the speed going down as the prop bite's coming out. All right, there we go. Runway doesn't light till late, so. Right there, but I just can't see it yet. There we go. I just caught eyes of it. All right, good. So we're coming up on our final. Up. Let's bring the prop all the way forward. I pushed it back by accident. All right, we're on final approach. I forget the runway number. There we go. Landing gear's down 3 green. We'll clear to land. The thing of this is that this thing's so wide that I have to be careful of, and it's very tall, so I need to make sure I don't smash the mountain coming in. I need to stay a little bit high. Then I need to dive in because there's a mountain right in front of the runway. And then I'm going to start to flare and pull off some power. There we go, we're touchdown, right in the center line. And I went into reverse, so it, did I leave the brakes on? I left the parking brake on. Okay, I left the parking brake on, so. We took off vertically, I forgot to shut the parking brake off. That should be on my checklist. That looks about right for gear. You know, like, if you look at, like, an Airbus A340-600, like, you know, it looks like it barely has any gear. Even, like, a 7.4, the gear looked tiny on a 7.4, unless you go up to them, you know. Gear on a 777 looks pretty small. C5, the gear looks pretty small. Yeah, there's lots of them, but this kind of has that C5, the IL-76 type of gear. So pretty good landing. It would have been nice if the parking brake wasn't on, but let me look at some questions here. Go ahead and I'll go into reverse. I don't have my reverse lights going right now, but we're in reverse. Theoretically. Okay, I have to check the reversers. Doesn't seem to be reversing my props. I need to fix that. Alright, parking brake is on. We'll go ahead and we'll put that up. Shut down. Need to check a couple things I need to test here. And I'll read some chat. That doesn't do anything anymore. This is the one here. There we go. And let's go door. I think the door may be broken. I think I broke it. I haven't fixed it yet. I may have fixed it last night. I can't remember. Looks like I fixed it. Alright, so there goes the door. Doing the most strenuous pull-up of all time here. Sometimes this behaves itself and is a pleasure. This isn't. There, let's do that. There we go. Sometimes I get this in the first hit, and then sometimes it's like I go right behind the door like that, and it's a pain. I was working my way around this door easier before, and now it's there we go. Okay. Ah, you suck. Come on, get up there, you. There we go. Alright. Ramp. Okay, ramp needs work. So let's go from my notes. I wrote some notes down last night. Check some chat. But it's getting close. I wanted to get this rolling for... Actually put it in the career build series. I need some money in the career build series. I'm down like 20 grand. Once I put Triton away, I'll be good. So let's see. Ramp. Okay, I put fixed door and ramp. Let's see. Reduce yaw. Okay. Keypad front fins. That's fine. I don't need that, I don't think. Increase pitch clamp. Fix door and ramp. Reduce yaw. Let me check the chat. I already went up to the Arctic, but I can run another one. I might go and we might. Once I fix this ramp up, I'll probably go do a container. We'll do a container run up the Arctic, but it's already been up to the Arctic. I did one last night, so Works well, but I'll give it a run here on screen. Let's see, what's the bottom right gauge there? I mean, in the 6-pack, let's look. Bottom right should be, it should be vertical speed. Yeah, that's VSI, vertical speed. So it shows you how many feet per minute you're climbing or descending. So these are your altitude related. So there's altimeter and VSI. That's artificial horizon. Compass, that's turn, slip, and airspeed. And then Basilicious has a radar altimeter. I may put that in. I'm not sure. I like the radar altimeter. I might put that in. Let's see. Alright, so let's recall this, and so that all worked out well. The landing came out nice. So I need to fix the main things that are causing me issues right now that are making it unusable is the door and the ramp. I need to fix that. The yaw is mostly a nitpicky item. Just make it fly a little bit more the way I want it to. I'm digging on the gear. The new gear is good. Alright. Let's see what's up with this. Could be an electrical issue. I know I had some electrical issues yesterday. Alright, so that's all working. Let's see. That goes down to there. Okay, let's check all of the ramp componentry here. So that looks like... Oh, I have a hard point on here. I didn't install the release. So that needs... the hard points need a release. So we'll do that. Let's see. So I need to find the ramp controller. There it is. Let's see. So I put a lock. That was one of my tests to see if the ramp was sliding around, causing phantom physics. So I'm trying to lock everything up so it doesn't do that. Let's see. We have connected release. What I could do is that's released. No, I'm gonna have to do 2 anyway. So if it's going up, I'll release. So we'll do... Where did that go? The hell is that now? The hell is it? There it is. I didn't move them, so. Alright, so if I press the up, it's going to release. So that way, whenever I try to push this out, it will release it. Which actually what I could do is just do the up key on there. So. That's what I could do. Yeah, let's just do that. All right. So if I do the up key, it's going to release these, so that will save me a spot. Alright, let's test that out now. Contemplating putting a mag all on the end of the ramp. So I put with the taller gear now, this is gonna have to come down more. So I need to rethink the angle on this. Yep, so that's much steeper now. could put a kneeling function in. I don't know if I want to put a kneeling function in. So what kneeling is like the Antonov 124 has this. A couple pads come down, and the gear goes up, and it kneels. So, I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'm leaning towards not. So let's try to put in a different number here, and we'll play with it. So let's see if this will physically touch the ground and not cause problems. Where did that go? Right there. All right, so presently it goes to 0.2. Let's go to 0.5. So that's the pivot system there. Feel like Rick from Rick and Morty going down the ramp here. You need the slow ramp. Oh, that was a pretty good guess. Not a little bit more than 0.5, but as the door hitting, the door's kind of tagging the top there. So it needs to go down a little bit more. It's going to be a little bit on the might have to switch that out to 1x2s to get the angle right, but and I might put inverted blocks there for here, so keep that in mind. All right. Let's go up to, we'll do 0.75 here. Third person. So I have a much higher deck angle now, which is something I wanted. Yep, you need that slow ramp. They go crazy for the slow ramp. Nope. it just connected and threw me into space. Okay. Eventually, it's not going to want to go any further than I have it because of the... Okay, yeah, it's not going to want to go further because of the way I have these connections. So I need to change those. Either that or do I make this sucker kneel? That's a question. Kneeling would be fun and interesting, but it's a lot more work too. You know, when you want a cool build, you want a cool build. That's the problem. Is it's like, do I put a kneeling system in this? I have a couple kneeling systems on some of my other builds. They're fun. Like the Sky Tim kneels. Like this is the perfect angle too for this. So it's like, let's go to 0.5. So it's going to be limited to 0.5 because the architecture of the connectors. The connectors are the limiting factor now. What I could do is have it come... can I do a front block there? Nay. So I think I don't want to go... I don't want it too steep either, so let's kneel it. That's going to be... It's going to be a bunch of work, but I think it's going to be cool. And for a lot of this, just adding cool factor is half the fun. So, like, let's say I find a picture of the Antonov 124 kneeling. It is super duper cool, so... That's the sort of stuff that I like. So like here you can see the 124 kneeling. So it rotates its gear forward. It has two steering mains, or nose wheels rather. Nose gear, because there are multiple wheels on the nose gear, the four wheels. And it has pads, and so that drops it lower, and it gives it a more stable base. The thing too is I'm having a sliding issue, so I was going to need to put magulls on the ramp. So what I might do is do a kneeling function and put friction pads. That will stop the motion when you're trying to load it. The only issue with the rear gear is I'm not changing the angle with the rear gear with the tail wheel. All I'm doing is I am fixing the doors. Doors need to be replaced. That's it. It's not I want, you know, you don't want to, they call it a ground loop if you have a tail dragger. If you hit the brakes too hard, like, you know, I landed with the parking brake on, I hit my front. I don't want to hit my front. That's important. So I want the mains to be quite a bit higher than the tail so that when you come in for a normal flare, it also helps me get off the ground. And the reason is you need to have a certain angle of attack to take off. And so if the plane sits too flat like it was before I fixed the gear, the issue is I have to force the tail wheel into the ground, which IRL would break your tail wheel. This way, the way this sits now is more accurate. So what would happen is the mains would be up higher than the tail, like so. And what that does is the angle of attack here is what you would need to take off. And so you don't actually need to really rotate to take off. You just let it take itself off. If you have a tricycle, you need to actually rotate. This one I don't need to rotate anymore. So I think I'm going to add a kneeling function on here because I think it's going to be cool. You know, it's a big cargo plane. Big cargo planes have kneel, which is, I think, a fun way to do it. So let's see. That's probe. Okay, that's my 4s. So that's 4s there. All right, so here we are. We're in this zone here. So that's our kneeling zone there. All right. So let's see. All right, good. So let's go ahead and we will go ding dong. Okay. I'm just kind of conceptualizing this here. So I love working on gear and stuff, and like little opening doors and stuff is my favorite. That's just like, it adds so much depth to the build and makes it a lot of fun. You know, so like adding little features like making it kneel, that was something I was considering putting in early anyway, and so like now it's like when it kind of made me giddy when it's like, oh, I have to make it kneel. It's like, good, I want an excuse to make this thing kneel. All right, good. So we'll make this kneel. All this white color, that's an off color, that's all going to be pitch black again. So like anything like this where it sticks out is going to be black, so you won't see it. All right, so it's going to kneel here. Let's see, what are we looking at there? Do I move them here, though? I say that's not the widest, that's not a very wide footprint. Yeah, it's not the widest of footprints, so I'll move them, I think. Maybe there, I'm thinking. That's a wider footprint, yeah. Because the further forward I go, the bigger they have to be in order to just, or the longer they have to be just to be able to touch the ground. So the further back I can get them, the shorter they can be as well, which is convenient. So I think we want to push it back a little bit more. Okay. So this is going to give a wider base for stability. It will also give it a also make it so that the armature doesn't need to be as long. Okay. Alrighty. Let's just do... Might just do these, I don't know. Either these or I'm going to do the other linear tricks. I think I'll do these. Forget I have symmetry I have to deal with, so let's go like that. There's a center right about there is good. Okay. Make sure I have good on that side. Good. And so we'll overextend it here, and I'll see how tall I actually need this. That way I can cut it down. But I think it's just cool. It adds a cool factor to it too. Kind of the rule of cool is making something that's a little over-engineered just for the funsies of it. So I think I'm gonna do trailing linkage on these two because I love trailing links. Excuse me. There we are. Rocket. Wow. Come on. Attempt number 12 to get rocket stuff. Right. So I thought that was going to have to be shortened. And these are going to be joined together anyway, so they'll be super strong. Because when I was going to just make it a VTOL, I was also thinking about putting on just legs instead of gear, but gear is so much more utilitarian. So very Antonov of this. All right. This also gives me some stuff to... and sometimes I want stuff just to fill out the panels too, so... So what I'll have to do is when the kneel mode's enabled, I'll have to separate it so that just the front gear collapses. So, how's it going there, Rasmus? I'll check chat in a second here. All right, so let's check the doors. All right, doors are open. That's having the friction pads love to collide and cause damage, so I need to keep that in mind too. So. Okay, those are getting hung up in the doors because the friction pads like have a wider footprint, but this one's down, so I do think this is cool that it's gonna have that, but might move them right behind. I don't know. So like talking about like cargo ops. Often what they'll have is they'll have tail stands, and so they'll put them on the tail when it's a tricycle, so as you put the weight in the back, it doesn't sit on its tail. And so this would need the same thing. The ramp kind of prevents it. The ramp acts like a tail stand. But you have to be careful as you're loading, the weight's going to be in the front, and you want the center of pivot here. And so what would happen IRL is if you put a heavy weight in the front, as you're loading, it would tip and it would hit the front. So you'd want something here anyway. Let's try to figure out what's going on with this. Why is it hitting? All right. So what are we? Are we a little short? We're a little short. Okay, we're a little bit short anyway, so bring it back in. Okay. So let's see. Do I put them right in front of the gear is another option. Let's try that for now. Because the further back they go, the shorter they're going to be able to be. Alright, let's grab all the necessary parts here. And I'll delete that out and fix it. Alright. Let's actually copy this, and that way I can fix it a little bit. So if I go back to the gear... How far out can I get it? Probably... Let's see where I'm at. I need to trim some stuff off of this, so let's see. Need to get to where I can be in some free air here. There we go. But I like this idea. This is interesting to me. Alright, there we go. Alright, so that's right there. Try to delete anything necessary. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright. How did this get cut off? Oh, I yanked the one from the other side. Oh, alright, that's not good. Not the end of the world, but I have to reconnect this one. Let's grab this off. Connect it to where it belongs here. There we go. All right. All right, then I will cut here. Alright, so the friction blocks, they like to hit stuff, so I need to keep an eye on that, but I can change them out anyway. And so one way I can kind of facilitate this is to put in some wedges like that. Did I cut this other side on the battery? I don't think I did, no. Oh, those I'm not working on anymore. What am I doing? I'm on the other ones that are going bye-bye. Okay, that's done. Right here is where I want to screw it. All right. I have room to push those pivots back if those are colliding, so gives me a little bit of space. All right, let's cut these out. That was kind of a cool factor item on here. So it shall kneel. Give me the block. There you go, guy. Yeah, so this will have a wider footprint, so it's less likely it will tip side to side laterally, and then it will... it doesn't need to come down as far to be able to take the pressure off the landing gear this way. And these will have hardpoint locks too once I get them figured out how they're going to work. So. Alright, so I feel it shaking and rocking and rattling and rolling there, so. Our friction blocks are such a pain in the ass. They really are. I'm gonna do a gear swing, see what it looks like. So I have to, what I'm gonna do is make it so the tail wheel does not come up when I get this done, but. Alright. It really doesn't dig it doesn't, it's probably the mixture of suspension and friction blocks. Really not liking that. Could mag it out. Let's do this for now. So this should help me diagnose, is it not like it's suspension? That could be it right there. So let's try that. So make it a hard suspension for now. We'll see how it behaves itself. Let's look at it. And something didn't get merged. Wow, that's the first time that's happened to me. That's that bug where you your controls go backwards. I keep hearing people talking about that. That's literally the first time that's ever happened to me. My controls going backwards. People make a big deal of it. It's like I just stopped no clipping and it fixed itself. So. But that's the first time I've had that bug. I see that a lot too, and I very rarely get. That's literally the first time I've ever got it. So interesting. No. What are they doing now? What's going on here? You coming down, or what are you doing there, guys? What's going on here? Probably a friction block issue. They're a big pain in the ass to use. I hate the mag-all lights. That's the reason I don't use mag-alls a lot, is I don't like the lights on them. It's funky to me. I actually rather have it a little bit of give, so if I hit it, it's not making the ding-dong noise all the time. Alright, so yep. Friction blocks are grabbing. They need more space, but I don't want to give them more space. All right, so I'm thinking a centrally pivoting platform. See if I can hide a mag-all in there. So the height looks pretty good if I could put one block underneath it. Height's not perfect. Let's play with it. Can't really go back anymore on them. All right. Check some chat. Yeah. Yeah, I want the angle of attack. Without that angle of attack, it wouldn't really, you know, like for example, when I was taking off before, I was having to force the tail wheel into the ground, which IRL would collapse your tail wheel. So it's one of the reasons I added the higher mains, is to get that angle of attack in there. Yeah, the F4 was the F4s. Some of the gear and the Navy stuff was really interesting. They are what do you call it? They're supports for the. Often these type of cargo planes will kneel to drop their cargo floor, so it's for kneeling. So the gear goes up and the feet come down for kneeling. All right, let's see what we can do here. So let's go central pivot. So some people have been building some cool SSTOs, it seems, for when the Space DLC comes out. I'm interested in seeing that. I really hate the way the Magolls, the lights come on, and I hate their sound. So what I'll do here is I think I'll make them go forward. Could rework the ramp too. If this becomes a pain in the butt, but I'm digging the idea until it becomes a pain in the ass, and then I kind of want to get rid of it. I think it's this one. Okay, so those are now attached. See, I hate the lights on them. Like, those will go out when they attach, but I'm going to put a pivot on it probably, but it's just, ugh, I don't like the look of them. See, like, they do that nonsense too, which drives me nuts. Why is this misbehaving? Oh, it's riding on the door, so it doesn't like riding on the door. Alright. Understood. Understood. Alright. Starting to think this is becoming a pain in the ass. Let's see. If I can make this cool, I want to do it. If it's just going to be a frustration, I don't want to do it. So we'll see if I can get something that I'm happy with. Okay, so the cool factor is what I'm after, and if I can get what I'm thinking of up and running and cool enough, I'm going to be thrilled with it, but if not, it's going to be annoying. So this is going to take some mechanics here to make work, and so that's the sort of stuff I have fun with, is making the mechanics work, so let's get that rocking and rolling. Come on, man, I've clicked on you. I'm stuck in the block, so it won't copy. There we go. All right. So this is going to be interesting mechanics-wise to get this to work. I have to work the geometry on this, so let's see. But this could be cool. Or it could just be a huge pain in the ass. Let's see. I've been, playing some Star Citizen again too, and I'm like thinking of like spacey landing gear and stuff. So it's kind of the cool factor gets me sometimes. Okay. So the mechanics is like this will have to go in and out to get this to work right. So I'll have to figure out exactly where I want to be here. So I'm gonna have to slide these back already, but all right, make progress here. I want some beef cannons on this. So that's gonna have to that's gonna have to be, if I do a 50%, we're gonna have to go to, that could be close. I might have to slide them back one. I have to get the mechanics just right, or we're gonna have hit city here. But luckily I can kind of slide down in the build and see, so. I'm gonna need to come down deeper. I know I will. So let's just keep going. All right, let's go to there. Then I think I'll put my pivot in. All right, if you're rotating that way, I need you to rotate this way. Yeah, okay. So let's just get the leg of this going, and then I will figure out from there what I need to do. So. Don't do that. All right, so that's kind of the pad. I'm thinking that has to slide back one. Gonna have to come back at least one. I think the pivot's backwards as well. Where's my pivot here? There's. All right, so I'm just gonna, I want to play with the articulation on this for a second. It's off, but I just need to visualize it before I can actually tell what I'm doing. Kind of having some legs come out would be kind of cool, but if this gets to be too obnoxious, I will just essentially try to work the angle of the ramp. Okay, so yeah, probably about one back. Yeah, at least one back. All right. I don't have the height to make this probably work either, because this needs to go all the way up to the ceiling. And I don't think it's going to be tall enough, but we'll see. Something fun to play with at least. Good, good, good. It didn't grab that part I didn't want it to grab. All right, let's cut that. Probably actually move back one more too. Let's try here. We're getting close. I think if I slide it back one more, we might be able to get a touchdown on it. Getting there. All right. It did it again. I'm backwards now. Interesting. I wonder if it's me clipping through the floor. That could be it. I think that somebody thought that's what the issue was. Oh, am I gonna crash here? I'm crashing probably. I think my game's crashing. That's very rare. All right, let's read some chat. Yep. Yeah, I need to fix that lock on the landing gear. Yeah. Oh Lord, he coming. Yep. That's a Yeah, I was hooked up. I cut it and I have to reconnect it. No, it's just your walking controls are backwards. Like my game's crashing now. I'm just gonna close it. Hopefully it didn't kill a bunch of my progress. I don't think it is. I'm gonna have to reboot the game. Yeah. I think what happened was I no-clipped to the floor and removed no-clip, and I was stuck in the floor, which doesn't surprise me that the game crashes. That's like sometimes people get bent out of shape with that. It's like you literally put your character in between a collision, and the game doesn't know what to do with it, so it crashes you sometimes. I want it to be different. I kind of want it to be like the Antonov 124. That's the main reason I do it this way. Let's trying to see where we're at. No, that's good. Sometimes you need a little reason to play, which it's, you know, like sometimes I'll go on. That's one of the reasons like I like when everybody shows their builds is yeah, so this is from a couple minutes ago. That's why I like when everybody shows their builds. You know, it's like FS was saying, or Daniel was saying, you know, I make them want to boot up the game. That's why I like, you know, looking on all the discords at people's builds and stuff, is it makes me want to play. You know, and that's like it's the inspiration of it. It's like when, you know, there are some people talking about like the negativity of some of the, like going on the official Stormworks. You know, it's like going places where it's fun to hang out and play and to watch other people's builds. Like that's half the fun, you know. And it's like if I can't figure out what I want to make next, one of the first things I do is I go trolling some of the different discords and I look at all the builds people are making. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, oh, that gives me some inspiration. Or I'll just search for some different machines or different airplanes. Or I'm like, what am I missing as far as airplanes are concerned? I'm like, oh, I need one of these, you know. We're getting close here on this mechanically working here, as you can see. But this is the type of mechanic stuff that I really like, is figuring some of this stuff out. It's a lot of fun. I find is like getting the angles right, getting the mechanics to work right. The more complicated, the better, you know, because you know, you learn something each time, and that really, I find that to be a lot of fun. Is, you know, I want to learn stuff. I want to get better. I want to be challenged. You know, like you're saying, I like to look at other people's builds and be like, oh, that would be cool. You know, and it's like I see somebody like, you know, I like doing Lua to a certain extent, but it's pain, and it's like, would I rather spend my time doing a build, or would I rather do some Lua? And like when I see somebody who has a really cool Lua setup, I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll get back into Lua. And that's like the last time I jumped back into Lua was because I saw somebody's screens and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to You know, there's some Lua I've been wanting to do, and it gets me back into it, and it's that kind of thing that, you know, that's what, when the community's at its best, is when it's inspiring people to go out and play. You know, that's why I really hate the negativity of some of that, of those places. Is just like, dude, this is supposed to be fun. It's like, you know, making the game less fun for other people, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, game's supposed to be fun, you know. It's like, have a good time. All right, so we're making progress here. That's looking pretty good. I still need to figure out a system to boot it, but that is getting there. So part of the issue is I need to come up on the height of this arm, and I just can't do it unless I drop my pivots down. So I could drop the pivots down. Let's do this. That will give me extra arm height, so I kind of have to do that. And then if I go that way, I'm trying to think of the mechanics of it. All right, so let's try something here. Putting the pivots in different areas changes the mechanics too, so I have to try to consider that. But it's like, for example, like, you know, after I did Chickadee, I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to build next. And then I usually, when I do a build challenge, I'll sit during the final edit and I'll start working on a build. And so I thought about, what do I need to do in game? And so what I needed to do in game was, or what I wanted to do was, you know, I just did a career build series where I really didn't have anything to go up to the Arctic with. And so I kind of needed something to be able to go up to the Arctic with. And that's when I decided to build this. It was something to do, and it had a purpose. And so it's like, you get that inspiration from other people, and it's why, you know, I really love to just like look at everybody's builds and go in the showcases, and why it's so important to share your builds is, it's like, you know, you don't know who you're inspiring with your builds, and it's like, I see a lot of your guys' stuff. I love doing the build reviews, you know, because it gives you some inspiration, and somebody did something differently than you, and you learn something from that, and it's always nice to see. So, all right, there we go. Let's try this. But I kind of like this. This has kind of that like spaceship leg look to it. I'm just trying to get a little bit more height. I need it to take the pressure off the landing gear. Yep, I'm getting hung up there. Okay. For now, oh, come on. Don't delete random shit that I don't want you to delete, please. Let me make sure I didn't delete random stuff. Okay, that I didn't. Okay, good. I thought I deleted something. I'm part of the gear again, and I have to go back and fix it. It's like I'm focused on this. I'm like, I can't afford to be deleting other stuff. How's it going there, Zachy? I don't know why people are worried about Stormworks doing like Ultra DLC. It's like it's my whole thing. It's like when you hear all these people on Steam saying, "Oh, it's greed, they're coming out with another DLC." They've been doing one a year. It's always come out in October. Like, you know, if they did 10 more, that means they're working on the game for another 10 years. I don't see why that's bad. You know, I get it. There, ooh, that works, baby. Look at that. That sucker works. Yeah, baby. That works. We're up. I'm digging it, man. That's cool, man. I like the look of it, too. I'll work on it, refine it, but, yeah, like, you know, it's like FS's comment. I hope Stormworks doesn't turn into War Thunder and Sims put out loads of DLC, lots of DLC. You know, there's no evidence to that. You know, there's no, like I said, there's no evidence to that. Like, let's look at The Sims. You know, it was, you get some of that. Sometimes people will talk about, oh, it's almost as bad as The Sims. It's like, here, The Sims. This is The Sims. This is The Sims. That's the DLC for The Sims. What is going on, Steam? Why are you doing this to me? Why you do this? I clicked on something, apparently. So, like, The Sims, not all of these, but, like, the first set of them were all The Sims. Like, let's see. Let's click on The Sims 4. Alright, Sims 4 came out in 2014. Alright, so that's 9 years ago. Alright, wow, that's 9 years ago it came out. Like, this is the type of stuff The Sims does, and it's like when people make a comparison, it's a false equivalency. So for $4.99, you have the Modern Luxe kit for The Sims. Alright, now, it's fine if people want to buy it. There's a reason why The Sims does this, is because the consumer base buys it. If the people didn't buy it, they wouldn't make it. So, you know, people complain about it, but they're making it. So here is luxurious furniture, okay, for $5, all right, for The Sims. Let's go into, let's see all of, so this is all of the DLC for The Sims. If you bought all the DLC for The Sims 4, not all the Sims games, just The Sims 4, it would cost you $1,164. All right. Stormworks has 2 DLCs released so far, and they're coming out with their 3rd. Each DLC has been about $8 for a grand total of $24 of DLC plus a $24 base game. So you're talking a maximum of $50. Back in the 90s, when I was a kid and I was buying, and my parents were buying me computer games, they cost $50. This game with all of its DLCs are $50. So the base game is free to play. It used to not be free to play, but it's free to play now. And as you can see, the DLCs are $1,164. The DLCs for Stormworks are $24. So I think it's 100% a false equivalency. Like, here is the poolside splash kit. So this is more than 50% of what the Stormworks DLC will be. And what do we have? Some pool stuff, bathing suits for $5. You know, so it's such a huge false equivalency. Like, here's the Horse Ranch expansion. This one, it's a bigger expansion, but look at the price, $40 to have horse stuff. Now, I'm not even saying it's not value for money. If you really love horse shit, you might get a kick out of this, and it might be worth $50 for you. But again, I think it's a false equivalency, and it's a red herring to even compare the two of them together. It's like, you know, again, here we have a base game of $24. We have all of the DLC. To buy all of the DLC, including space. No, not including space. They didn't put it in there. So for the 2 DLCs is $20. That was $1,194 for The Sims 4. You know, what was the other comparison? I'm trying to see what the other comparison he made was. War Thunder. War Thunder. Is War Thunder on Steam now? I think it is. Used to not be. And again, the other thing in common is these games went free to play. So the only revenue they have is DLC. That's the other thing people aren't understanding, is the game itself went free to play, so the only revenue it has is DLC. You know, so this game has base as well. So here is all of the War Thunder DLC, $917. So, again, this game, again, it's a different type of game, too. It's like, you know, that's not what you're getting. Like, look at this. A10 Thunderbolt is $59. $69 for the MiG-21. You know, so I think the thought that this is what this game is going to go to is just, and the comparisons. I'm not saying FS is making that comparison, but I have seen people make that comparison, and it's like, dude, you know, there's no way in hell that it's going to get to that. It would take another 20 years, you know. Let me see. Why don't you use normal blocks? The landing gear wheels have friction. Okay, I talked about that already. We'll see. We'll see what... I'm going to have to do a bunch of tutorials when that comes out, so... I'll see you later. FS left a while ago. See, I missed saying adios to him. That's alright, Aaron. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with what Rasmus... The Stormworks devs are not greedy. You don't need to buy any DLC and you still get some features. That's the thing that... That's why I get annoyed when I see people making the comparison to, you know, and I'm not saying FS was doing that, but like you'll see, especially on Steam, you'll get people say some of the grouchy packs saying, you know, they're no better than EA. It's like, really, dude? Like, really? I'm like, with this DLC, everybody for free is getting the pressurization update. You know, it wasn't free to them. It cost them money to make that update, yet they did it. You know, and so that is all coming free. You know, when they came out with the mineral stuff, you know, you're no longer able to just get coal. You have to mine coal. So even though mining was part of a DLC, they made it so that you can still mine for free on the Sawyer Islands so that nobody got alienated. You know, part of the thing that when people criticize EA is EA used to do things like in Battlefield where if you didn't buy the new maps for Battlefield, you couldn't, like, you'd be on a server and then eventually you'd have to get off that server because you didn't have the map for it. And so that's the sort of thing that it's like, I think it's a false equivalency to kind of talk about those in the same realm. Now, of course, could they go that way? Yeah, but is it likely? I think highly unlikely that this game would go that direction. You know, it has a different funding model, and that's like I was talking about with, you know, those games. You know, those games are using a free-to-play funding model. A free-to-play funding model means the game is free, and if you want to buy, you know, into these other things, and the way they make their revenue is through those extra modalities, and so you have to buy DLC in order to keep the game alive. And so that's why they push DLC so much, is that's their funding method. You know, and again, at the end of the day, nobody's twisting your arm to buy these things. You know, I think it's silly that there's a luxurious interiors pack for Sims 4? Sure, but guess what? It's not my type of game. You know, it's, you know, and I bet you there are people who are like happy to pay the $4 because that's very much their type of game. All right. So this was mostly an exercise in mechanics, like to make this, like having that elbow work, and that's the sort of thing I find to be fun, is doing this type of thing. So let's see. So I'm mostly just playing here, playing with some mechanics at the moment. I'm going to change some stuff up, and this is going to get all rebuilt. But this was kind of fun going through the mechanics of this. I don't even know how much of this I'm going to keep at the end of the day, but... But you can see how you can have a reasonably compact leg that actually sticks out pretty far, and because of the, you know, putting an elbow in there. So that's always fascinating me, like some of this mechanic stuff. There we go. We're up on the pad there. Alright, so the gear is up off the ground. I need to fix my gear. I need to duplicate this. This is neat. I think this is fun, you know? Yeah. Search and destroy is required to make weapons work. You can still use the parts. Yep, exactly. And that's one of the things that, like, it's like some of the breathless criticism I see during the weekly update threads. It's like, dude, these guys have been, like, they're certainly not perfect, but they've been so incredibly fair with, like, a lot of their stuff. And it's like, you know, they, like you said, you know, you can have the weapons for free. You know, you have to pay to use them. So you're still getting them for free, and it's like, you can use them for decoration, and then, you know, it comes up for sale for $8 if you want to use them. And it's like, dude... You know, like Ras was saying, it costs, you know, buy a pizza and a drink. It's like, you can't get lunch for $8, you know, and you can get a game for $8. It's like, there has to be some proportionality where, like, at some point, you know, some of these people who are complaining start to realize that it's like, you know, these are not enormous costs, you know. All right, uplock, release right here. Okay, that's done now. All right, good. You know, it's just like, you know, you have to kind of take some of the motivation of some of those people, too. It's like, you know, I'll go in and I'll look at their Steam profile and I'll see they have, like, I don't know, 50 hours in game. Like some of them have been around for a long time, and they frankly at this point the amount of vitriol they have, it's like, dude, you'd be happier just moving on. I was that grouchy about Star Citizen at one point, and it's just like, dude, you gotta move on, man. It's like if it's making you that upset, the whole point of a game is supposed to be fun, and if it's making you upset, it's like, move on. You know, not every game is for every person, and at some point you gotta just say, you know what, it's not worth my time and effort to be this annoyed all the time, and just move on. You know, so I bet you I can move this back one too. Yeah, right there probably could go. Let's fix this side now. You know, and I think these devs, like, they're certainly not perfect, but like one of the reasons why I tend to defend them pretty often is it's like, you know, they really do make some solid attempts to try to not split the community. They make solid attempts. Is this one right in the money? Where are we at? Back right there. Okay, right there. They make, you know, solid attempts not to split the community. They make some solid attempts to be fair. You know, they try not to make it so that you're stuck behind a paywall and you can't have fun without the items. Yeah, but, you know, again, it's a company, it needs revenue, and, like, some of the vitriol that they get is just, like, you know, unfounded. It's like, just doesn't make any sense to me. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll try to do a gear retraction here, and we'll try to get this set up. But this is kind of cool, you know, if the legs didn't turn out cool, I was just going to fix the ramp, but the, this is turning out to be pretty cool, so I'm digging on it. Oh, now it's hitting. Crap. Alright. I thought I could move it back one. I couldn't. Alright, I gotta move it back again. Yeah, like, you know, using, you know, Ras was talking about the cannon barrels. That is, you know, you can use the battle cannon pieces as ballast, and you don't have to pay for the DLC, you know, and it's like you can still use the parts. You know, they add, with the pressurization update, you get it for free, you know. If they were jerks, if they were out greedy people, they would have made it so that you can't fuel any of your Steam stuff if you don't buy the DLC. You know, that would be the sort of thing they do. That's the scummy stuff that some of these scummy games do. Like, you know, talking about the game that I think the developer is, you know, most scummy is probably Star Citizen right now. And, like, they do things like artificial scarcity where you have a ship that is not even built yet by the developer. And they will make it so that you can only buy it at this time of year so that people have FOMO and they go buy it, and they buy something that they otherwise wouldn't because, oh, if I don't buy it now, I may not get another chance. And then, oh, the price might rise later if I don't buy it now. And so they very much they do that in Star Citizen, which is super scummy. And they do it to milk money out of people. And the game, like, people have literally could spend $29,000. You know, we looked at those games and it was like, to get all the Sims 4 stuff, it was, what, $1,100? A little over $1,100. Star Citizen, you could spend $26,000 on that game. You know, that is scummy. You know, they do this thing where they'll come out with a ship, the new ship, right? They haven't even finished the ships that they already sold people on, but they'll come out with a new ship, and that new ship will be better at everything. And so if you don't, you know, so you want to get the new ship. And so then you get the new ship, and a month after it comes out, they go, oh, it's OP, so we rebalanced it. And now when they rebalanced it, they made it worse, you know. And so that's the sort of thing that Star Citizen does that's scummy. And it's, you know, and everybody jokes about it. They know that's going to happen, that there's going to be a nerf coming out because they made the new ship too powerful. And they did it because they wanted you to buy the new ship. And so you put new money into the game, you know, and so that's a scummy developer. This developer is not perfect. They do some questionable things sometimes, but I don't think they're scummy. I think they're just trying to do their best, you know. You know, like I've been seeing all these posts about why space, and again, they had a poll, and then people are like, oh, well, the poll, well, they didn't tell enough people about the poll, and it's like, yeah, well, you know what? It's never going to be perfect, you know? But they reached out to the community. Okay, so we're on the ramp there. They reached out to the community, and guess what? That's what the community said they wanted, you know? And, oh, well, they worded this funny. Well, dude, you got a choice, you know? They did a poll. That's what it was, you know? They're doing what they asked the community. They got the community's permission for these things with the poll. And at that point, you know, they're pretty much in the clear. You know, you can't really argue much with that when they do a poll. You know, I would have rathered something other than space, but guess what? You know, that's what the poll said. So that's what they're doing. All right, bingo. I think we're there, man. I'm digging that. I have to put up the tail wheel. That will help so these don't have to go up as much, but that is the new kneeling system, so I'm digging that. I think that adds some interest to this. So I want to add probably a 1x4 on the back of this. Let's try that. See, where is that? I'm trying. Oh, it's the back of the ramp. Ugh. Back here. All right, so this is just to cover the gap a little bit. So I want to make sure it doesn't interfere. You know, and businesses will often do this. They'll poll people because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get, you know, they're trying to get permission for it. They're trying to get some cover for it. Is the ramp now looking good without the legs? It is. What the hell? Oh my god, dude, the legs don't need to be on there anymore. That's interesting. I'll keep them. But yeah, like I put my cover on here. Now it's working better. That's funny. It's touching now. That's funny. I'll keep the legs in there anyway, but you can see the ramp is good now. That's typical. That's typical. Maybe a 1x2 in there. Let's get a 1x2 in there, see what that looks like. Yeah, so like here is the poll from when they polled the community. You know, and this is the way you do it. You go, and they did this, remember, they asked us permission for the pressurization update. Dude, they were going to do it anyway, and they already worked on it. That's fine. They have their vision. They should follow their vision. You know, this was the poll they asked. All right, and they asked this years ago, and it says, nuclear reactors, we have them. Weapons, we have them. Sales, they told us in the stream there about talking about Space DLC, they tried them, and they weren't happy with them. All right, so people are, you know, people will complain that, oh, they didn't test this enough, this is buggy, this isn't perfect. They tested sales, it was buggy, and it wasn't perfect. So guess what? They didn't put out sales. You know, they said they weren't happy with it, they might go back to them. Natural disasters, we have it. Ships, planes, and helicopters, we have it. Cooperative vehicle building, that's most likely an engine limitation. So even though people want it, you might not be able to do it. Arctic ice breaking, right? They took out all of the, we used to have floating ice. They took it out. Why? Because it was hurting performance. You had people complaining that the game is laggy. I'm in slow mode all the time. So what did they do? They cut out some of the ice to try to mitigate that. So, you know, that's one of the reasons they took it out. So Arctic ice breaking is unlikely possible because as you break up parts, it's going to cause a physics slowdown. So likely with the engine the way it is that you can't have that. So that's probably an engine limitation. And then look at where we're at, space. So we have it, we have it. They said they're not happy with it. Maybe it will come back. We have it, we have it. This is probably an engine limitation, and bingo, we're right where we need to be there in space. And they also did some that were less popular in space. They did steam engines already. Compressed air is coming with it. Look where it is. It's right in line with where that is. fishing is less popular than space or compressed air, and guess what? We're getting both of those. I think fishing is too small for a DLC, probably be a major update. They've already talked about, they know what they're doing for the 2 major updates so far in 2024. I would say it's probably a good chance it's fishing. Runway lights, we already have. Decorative components, I would love a decorations pass, but again, it's below fishing, and it's below space, and it's below compressed air, and we're getting those next. FLIR thermal camera, I don't know how much that's different than that. We have Stormworks. Component modding, no clue what that actually means. No weapons, that is in opposition to weapons, so that one gets nullified. Pathfinding API, don't know what that's even all about. Kraken we have, and then no more features, just bug fixes. So like when you see a bunch of people will post, oh, you know, we don't want them to do any more, you know, content updates. We just want them to fix bugs. They did a poll. And if that was number 1, guess what? That's probably what they'd be doing. But it wasn't. It's actually on the bottom. And it's on the bottom by quite a bit, you know. And so, you know, that's why it's you know, it's good sometimes for them to do a poll, because, you know, you get people who will be really loud, and that doesn't necessarily mean that's where the community is. And so I think they did the perfect way. They put out a poll, and they're following the poll. And it makes sense, too. They talk about this. They've been working on this update for years. And so if you've been working on this for years, it takes years to do this, you know, that's good to know. You know, and so they have to plan years ahead. They can't just do it on a whim. So it makes sense to me why they do these things. Yeah, I agree with Daniel. Yeah, I think fishing is going to be a major update. I don't think fishing is going to be a DLC. I don't think it's enough to do a DLC. You know, like if we, let's say this really quick. I'll talk about fishing really quick. Minky gear test. Let's do Minky new gear. You know, so like if you think about what would you need to do to make fishing, and why I think fishing could be done with a minor update, or a major update rather. So what we currently have now is we have these hoppers, right? We have small, medium, and large mineral hoppers. Okay, yeah, so here's small, medium, and large. All right. So all you would really, so the functionality is in game. They have these functioning correctly. So I think I'm in my test world here. I should be in my test world. So we load these up with coal. All right, these start with coal in them. Well, guess what? All you have to do is put in fish. All right, and you change the look of these. So these look like a hopper. Change it so that it looks like a fishing pot. All right, and we can take out coal, and I can take coal in my hands, and I can throw it on the ground, and after 60 seconds it will disappear. They already put in physicalized fish, so what I think they should do is reskin these so they look like fishing pots. And then what you do is you pick up, you know, you go and you put the pots in the water, and it's pretty simple. You say, between these coordinates at this time, the fish rating is high. Between these coordinates at this time, the fish rating is medium. Between this time and this time, the fish rating is low. If the fish rating is high, this fills at a level of 10%. So every, say, minute, this will fill up at, if it's 252, it's going to fill 25 per minute, you know. And so in 10 minutes, this pot will be full in a high fish area. You go in a medium fish area, it is now 5%. So you're going to get 5% of this. So this one here is, they're joined. So I can't count them separately. But, you know, the medium area is 5%, and then the low area is going to be 2.5%. And then if you're outside of a fish zone, there's no fish. You can leave it there all day, and it will never fill. And then what you do, you go up here and you look, and you essentially make it like the weather system, right? They already have this. No, I don't want to fast travel. They already have a weather system in it. Rain. They already have a rain system here, right? So we see, and guess what? We get repeating rain areas. All they have to do is put in a new layer, do it just like rain, but do some tweaks in the numbers, And now you have fish densities. And the fish density, you look in your map and you see fish densities. You can make it so that you can also have a new thing called the fish finder, and essentially all it does is shows you what fish density you're in, right? So if we're coming in here, and this is no fish, this is low fish, this is medium fish, this is high fish, and you can look on the map, or you know, they also have the mechanic where you can buy a fish, the oil report. Make it so we can buy a fish report from the fishing station. Or you can put a fish finder on your ship, and what it does is essentially reads this map in real time, and you can see it's moving. And so we see, okay, well, there's little fish, there's medium fish, there's a lot of fish. You go park your boat here, and you throw your hopper over the side of your boat. All right, so let's pretend these look like fish pots now, right? And what do we put on there? We put a rope anchor. All right, we put another rope anchor. Attach them with a rope. We could put a winch on there. I'll do a medium on there. Put a medium tank on here. We fill that with nothing, Lebowski. Put a light on here. I've done this before where I've made buoys and I put on a... I make it so that at night it flashes. And so there we go. We have ourselves a fishing pot. You know, again, reskin it so that it looks like an actual fishing pot, not a big mineral hopper. And this gets thrown in the water. And if you use your fish finder, or you look on the map, or you buy the fish report or whatever, you dump your pots in here, and over time they fill. And then what do? You come back and you come up to this here, and you hook on, and you drag the pot on board. Well, just like we have on these, on the bottom of the pot, you put a funnel. So they would, like, this is why I don't think they need to do too much. This is why I think they put physicalized fish in the game. People are like, oh, these animal updates, these are stupid. What are they doing? They're just doing random shit. I don't think they are. I think they have a purpose for this. We have physicalized fish. Why do we have physicalized fish? I think because this is the type of system they're doing. And so what you would do is you would use a crane on your boat. You'd pick this pot up. You would put it over a built-in fish locker. So the fish locker is now on your boat. And the fish locker could just be one of these hoppers. All they have to do is add fish to it, right? And so now you have these fish lockers built into your boat. And you crane this pot up over and you dump it. If any of the fish spills in the ground, very simple, it's like if coal spills in the ground, right? These mechanics are already in game, which makes it so they can easily do this, and it's familiar to people. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. All right, hey, look, all this fish on the ground, okay? Pick up a fish, pick up a fish, pick up a fish. All right, now we dump the fish all in here. This is going to be full, so it won't take it, but dump, dump, dump. Okay, so you dump your pot in there. If any fish spills out, you put it back in, and bingo, you're good to go. Then what do? You move your boat, you move it over to an island, and you dump this out. You can use the funnels, whatever. You could empty it by hand, right? You could put a bucket on the end of a crane, and you could empty it by hand, where you put it in there, empty, 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 empty fish by hand if you want. You could do a tiny little fishing boat where, maybe they could do a rod, I don't know, where you get one fish on the rod. Well, what do you do then? You take the fish off the rod and you throw it in your hopper. That's how I think they could do fish, and that's why I think it's going to be a major update, is these mechanics are in. They might as well just retool these to make them so that we could operate with the game we already have. There's plenty to do here, and this is why people are like, oh, fishing sounds boring. It's like, you have to build cranes, you have to build boats, you have to build buoys, all sorts of systems. Like, you can get as elaborate or as inelaborate as you want. But I think that's probably what they would do. Like nets, I don't think nets are going to be physically possible with the game engine. It could be, but I don't think so. But I think this is probably more the way they would go. But that's kind of my whole thoughts on fishing, and I agree. I think it's going to be a major update. I don't think it's going to be a DLC. Because how do you make that enough? I could see if they did fishing and animal husbandry, which again, people are a lot of the detractors say, oh, why do they keep doing these stupid animals? Well, one, people have been asking for more life around the map. I get a huge kick out of the animals. I saw a fox jumping around in the water. He was swimming around the water. I was taking Triton over to Spy Cakes the other day, and I had to steer around a badger that was in the water. You know, I drive my truck from Draymore to Spy Cakes, and there was an elk there, and I stopped and just admired the elk. When I'm flying around the arid biome, I like to see the herds of bison. You know, is it a huge update? No, but it's a little bit of life that people have been asking for. You know, they said the world seems dead. Okay, well, put some animals in the world, you know. And then would it make sense to me if they make it so that you can go get animals and use them somewhere later, like doing, for example, farming? Like, dude, farming would be so incredibly cool to me. And you could make the mechanics really simple, again, where you do, you know, for example, for farming, pretty simple here, right? One thing they could do is they could make, you know, we can already build bases. So put some more base building in here. Like, let's say they do it up here, right? These islands are dead, right? There's not much going on here, right? There's rail lines, but there's not much life on these bottom three segments here. Like here, there's you have a mine, you have a little bit of something here. There's an airport on this one. There's an airport on this one. There's a town here. But there's a lot of dead area around here that could easily be turned into cool stuff. Like, this could be fishing villages, right? We're supposed to have, I think Olsen's supposed to be a fishing village. I think Olsen Bay is supposed to be a fishing village. But, for example, you could add some farmland. So let's kind of go over here. So there's no real reason to go down here unless there's a mission. But you could see they could easily add farming in here where this is nice flat land. All right, and we go in here. And how would farming be? Okay, well, you come over here and you buy... you know, this base building, you buy a farm, and you could build a paddock. And the paddock stores animals. The animals walk around. They can't go through a fence. All right, so maybe you go capture a buffalo. So you go down, okay, I want a buffalo farm. So you go down here, and you find buffalo. So generally, they're down here, and I can find them pretty quickly. They have to spawn in first. But generally, I see a lot of buffalo around here because I'm always here doing oil, and I find buffalo. So let's say you come out here, you find a buffalo. Okay, well, we already have a spear gun. Let's say you have a track gun. So you track the buffalo, and then we need a way to pick it up. So maybe they have a harness, and you do a harness and a crane. So now you have an unconscious buffalo. You put it in the back of your truck. You transport it up to your farm, and you have a trough, kind of like how Farming Sim does it. And you have to put water in one trough, and you have to put food in the other. And so you get some food, you get some water, you put it in there. If there's food and water and you have a female and a male bison within a certain proximity of each other, you get another bison that appears. So you get a baby state, right? There are plenty of games that do this. Ark does this really well. That could be a lot of fun for the game. And that could be why they're adding some of these animals. We already have cows, we already have horses. You know, so adding this sort of stuff makes sense, you know, and seeing that, you know, there were whispers of space for years, and the devs said they've been working on this for years. It wouldn't surprise me if they're already working on some of this stuff. So that's kind of my whole thought on that, is it's like, if you see the devs spending time on something, likely it's because they have something else coming. You know, I don't think it was a mistake. I don't think it was a whim. They're just like, oh, we got nothing to do today. Let's make physicalized fish. I think they made physicalized fish because they have a reason to make physicalized fish, because there will be a fishing update at some point. You know, and as you saw with the poll, it was below space. So would it make sense to me that it's the major update coming in 2024? Yeah. You know, because it's after space. So these legs are kind of unnecessary at the moment with the new door working, but I'm glad I made them anyway. They're kind of fun. So I'll integrate those as well. But so I don't know what magically started working. I think it was when I put on... Oh, I know what I want to do. I got distracted by my own commentary. But let's do this. But yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. I think we're going to get fishing. I think it's going to come in 2024. You know, that's my prediction. Who knows if it's going to be right, you know. But it makes sense. You know, you saw how there was a kind of a backlash from those who it was their #1 choice. But I think it makes more sense as a major update. I don't think it's enough for a DLC, you know. Part of a DLC, too, is, and what they're doing a good job with the way they handle DLCs, is they make a DLC so that if you're not interested in that content, okay, don't buy it. You know, and so I think... Why is this catching again? It's this little thing up here that's not coming back. Let me fix it. Alright, that jammed up on that little piece there, so I need to check that why that's not working. It's this little piece here that it's jamming up on, so I don't know why. You know what it probably is? It takes a second for that to get into position, and I bet if I open the door too quickly, it jams up. So let's let it settle before I try opening the door. I need to give it time to slide open. Alright. There we go. Yep, that's probably it. I just need to make sure I wait a couple seconds before I open the door. I'm just going to read some of the chat here. Building trains. I don't build too many trains. Do you think they'll have hunting and fishing all in one update? I would say that would make sense to me. I would think it would be kind of be almost like an animal-themed event where they're doing... you know, maybe farming and fishing. You know, I could see farming and fishing being an update together. Yeah, that would make sense to me for them to do that. All right, so the ramp was working a second ago here. Let's see. Bingo, it works perfectly. All right, good. You don't really need those legs, but they're in there. All right, so that 1x4, it fills the gap, so the gap isn't as, or the 1x2s rather. That's perfect. All right, good. Let's clean this up, and let's go do a container. I want to check everything out. I need to do a little bit of housekeeping here to make sure things are all working. All right, what are you connected to there, all this extraneous nonsense that I have here? This should be hard points. Nope, those are medium winches. Where is this? Okay, I do have the hard point hooked up to something. What do I have it hooked up to? Alright, this front one here is that. Okay, good. Alright, so let's go do a container. Let's go play with some containers and see what we can do here. Did I add anything electrical that needs to be powered? Not really. We'll run with infinite electricity. I think we're good. I want to go test out containers. Read some chat while it's going. Yeah, the short when I almost hit the goat. Yeah, going down the street. I clipped one of them. I evaded the first one and I just barely clipped the other one. He lived though. You know, that's the thing. It's like, you know, there are games and there are developers, like even great games that, you know, are really well received and are great, that they don't get many updates. And we get like, you know, it was funny and frustrating reading some of the comments this week on the weekly update. It's like, people are like, just call it a hotfix, just call it a hotfix. It's like, dude, are you really arguing semantics? Like, you have developers here that are giving you hot fixes at least every week, giving you minor updates every other week. They're working on a major update. Of course, the weekly updates are pretty thin. They have a major update coming out in 2 weeks. Imagine if you had a huge project due in 2 weeks, you know, the other stuff you're doing probably would take a little bit of a backseat, you know, because this is important. They have a deadline. They have October 12th. They've already announced their deadline. You know, you can't both complain that they put out buggy mess patches and then they're working on their patch so that's not a buggy mess. You know, it's like, and it's some of the same people. Like, literally see the same people doing this. It's like, dude, what do you think they're doing? It's like they're trying to get this stuff finished up and polished. It's like, just leave them alone for a week. Give them a 1 week of not being a pain in the ass. Yeah, that's really all they need is 1 week of not being a pain in the ass, so they can just get this done. You know, and I think they're on the right path. You know, again, they're following that list. the poll. It wouldn't surprise me if, Fission's on there. It's the next one in line. Why do they skip sales? Well, one, how many, I don't think people are going to buy a sales DLC. I wouldn't, I would probably buy it because I'd buy them all, but a sales DLC, like, I would like to play with sales, but I'm not going to probably, a DLC, I don't think sales is really a DLC. It's not fundamentally changing how the game works. It's not adding a large difference to the game to be a DLC. Could sales be a major? Sure. But, how many people are going to play with sales? I think there'll be a good portion of people, but is it going to be enormous? No. So I think sales could come with that. And they said they've already tried working on sales. They just weren't happy with it. It's not as though they've ignored people. They worked on it. It's like, if somebody said, hey, build me a 6-engine VTOL that can do X, Y, Z, and I work on it, I'm like, I can do X and Y, I can't do Z, right? I'm going to put it on hold until I can figure out Z. That happens. That's what they're doing with sales. Took a dog on a mission today, transported a bus to a garage. Yeah, I like the dogs. The dogs are a nice addition. I have a prediction, too, when it's going to be released. Everybody who was biting, yes, I say, about space will still have something bad to say. Yep, I agree. The negative people are negative, and that's their MO. And it's like, I was inconsolable when I was a negative, miserable person for Star Citizen. Like, if you watch some of my Star Citizen live streams, I'm still complaining about the game. I dislike Chris Roberts with a passion. I dislike them as a company with a passion. I like the work that the actual workers, the developers, have been making. I think a lot of it's a friggin' steaming mess, But, I don't spend all my day over there ranting and raving, I used to, and it was just to consume me, and it was like, it just makes me miserable. It's like, why are these people who the game makes them miserable still hanging out and allowing it to make them miserable? I don't get. Like, I've looked at some of these people's profiles. They have like 50 hours. Okay, you got 50 hours of entertainment. Let's say it pissed you off, okay, and you bought all the DLCs. You paid $1 an hour for entertainment. It didn't work out. It's not the game for you. I bought Starfield twice, and I refunded it twice before I even got to 2 hours. It just was not the game for me. It wasn't a bad game. It just was not the game for me. And I think that's the other thing, is sometimes you need to realize it's not the game for me and move on. There are a lot of people this game is just not going to be for. I don't tell everybody, hey, go get Stormworks. I say, what do you like for games? Okay, this isn't going to be the game for you. Don't get it. Because it's better that we don't have people who are miserable hanging around, because, one, it gives a false perception of what the actual game's like, and, I would rather some of these people get refunds and be like, yeah, you can have a refund, just go away, Rasmus loves trains. Did you put any pictures of trains up? I'd like to see some train pictures. Yeah, I'm not big into, like, collecting, but, like, I am big into supporting developers. Like, I bought Medieval Engineers when I was playing Space Engineers. I played, like, almost no Medieval Engineers, and I won't ever play it again. But it supported the developer that I thought did a good job on Space Engineers, And part of it's that is just, supporting the developers that you like. It keeps them in business, I don't buy any EA games. If there was one I thought was worth my money, I'd buy it. Like, if they fixed Battlefield, made Battlefield fun again, yeah, I'd buy Battlefield. But they'll get my support when they make a product that I want. And it's like when people, like, are ranting and raving about the space DLC, you're not getting my money. Good. Go away. It's like, if you don't want to buy DLC, don't buy it. Nobody's twisting your arm, nobody's forcing it, nobody's begging you for it. Buy it or don't buy it. You know what? And there are going to be a bunch of new players coming in who love space and now can build their own space vehicles. I'm not super thrilled about the space portion of the space DLC. I'm really looking forward to the pressurization. But guess what? After I build a couple builds and I'm having fun, and especially after I make some tutorials, I'm going to be probably enjoying it. Like, if I'm trying to see if I have any screenshots from Kerbal. Like, my stuff for Kerbal was elaborate. Like, I made some elaborate Kerbal stuff. There was a lot of fun. I've been thinking of going back to Kerbal Space Program 1. But why have I not really been chomping at the bit to go back to Kerbal Space Program 1? Because the building system in Stormworks has spoiled me. You know, I love the building in Stormworks so much that going back to Kerbal really just doesn't interest me, and it's sad because I love Kerbal. But like, I want to tweak things. I want to make my own cockpit. I can't do any of that, and that's the sort of thing that really I think you can't beat Stormworks for, is the ability to make your own. You want a cockpit to do exactly this, that, or the other thing, you can do it, man. And that's something that most games don't do, and I think it's fantastic. Here, I'll show you a little of my Kerbal stuff. I don't have a lot of screenshots from Kerbal, but this is... so I used to love to do SSTOs. Not SSTO, strato launchers. So this is like what I like to do, real elaborate stuff in Stormworks and Kerbal, where I make an airplane that can go very fast and at high altitude, and I carry a shuttle on top of it, and it disconnects and goes. This is very old. My newer stuff in Kerbal is much better. But like, I would, for example, I'd put a space station up where I would put each piece up independently, and then I would launch a power unit, and the power unit would would just be fuel and power. I'd launch that up and put it. And so I'd do like 20 missions to get ready to go to the moon. And then I would assemble all the parts, and I would go to the moon, and I would leave a part there. And so, you know, that's the sort of thing I love, but why don't I go back again? I really think the building system in this game is so great. You know, it's when you'll get a contingent of the, especially like the old guard there that's very grouchy, that will say, oh, this is supposed to be a search and rescue game, or oh, I bought a search and rescue game. The best part about this game, and even they will make this argument themselves, is the building. It's a building game. That's what this game is at its heart. Like, I wouldn't, like, if somebody asked me, hey, I'm thinking of getting Stormworks because I want to do search and rescue, I say, okay, but the best part about this game, what the game really is building and engineering. If you don't like building and engineering, you could have some fun going on the workshop and taking other people's builds, but you're missing what the main part of the game is, which is building and engineering. And so what they did was they took the best parts of this game, which is the building and engineering, and they've added more things for us to build and engineer things for, like going to space, you know, like drilling oil, like mining. You know, I think Industrial Frontier really needs an update, but they built us a new playground and new things to engineer. And guess what happened when Industrial Frontier came out? A lot of people built a lot of mining equipment, myself included. You know, and what's going to happen now? If you go look on the official Discord, half of the pictures are all new space stuff. You know, people are digging it. And so if you went on Steam and you listen to some of these grouchy people, you'd think that, oh, everybody's pissed off, everybody hates the game. Nope, game's still rated positively. And if you go look on the official Discord, you know, half the builds are, you know, or a lot of the builds, let's not say half, a lot of the builds are all space themed because some people are excited about it, you know, and that's all it takes. You don't need to please everybody, you just need to please some people. All right, here we go. Come in and make sure my parking brake's off. Yeah, I took off horizontally. We're gonna land like a plane. I try to land like a plane whenever I can. IRL, you'd only want to be landing vertically when you have to. It's really, you know, it's dangerous. If you lost if I lost an engine now, like in game, I'd have a problem. If I lost an engine IRL right now, I'd go around, come back, and land no problem. Go, touchdown, damage is on, so if I hit too hard I will break something. We're gonna go into reverse. I'm bringing it back into reverse, and I'm gonna steer off here. Alright, coming back up on thrust, there we go, we're back in forward. We're gonna shut down, we'll shut down, what is it? I can't remember my numbers. I can't remember which is which, so I won't do it. It's got to be 3 and 4. 3 and 4 have to be my backs. So I'll shut down 1 and 2. So you do this for fuel savings. You'll notice, especially, it's been quite a few years now that we've been doing. Like, we used to taxi out on 1 engine unless, if we were going to take off within a minute, we needed a minute to let the turbine come up to operating temperature. But we'd have to at least wait a minute to take off once we start engine. We would taxi out on 1 engine, and then ATC would tell you number 3. And then you'd know, okay, they're taking off 1 per minute. So when we're number 2, we need a spool 2. And then we'd spool engine number 2. And then we'd have 2 engines up and running, we'd go, and it was all for fuel savings. Why burn, why burn both engines if you don't need to? Like, I could probably, these are pretty far off the center line, so I might not want to run, I'd be fighting it the whole time trying to taxi. But you'd shut down 2 so that you save fuel. Now I'm only burning fuel on the back 2. That's nice, yeah. I always like to see everybody's builds. That's like my favorite. That's one of the reasons I started the Discord in the first place, was it's like, I love going from Discord to Discord, seeing all the builds. That's where you get inspiration, is you see somebody do something cool, that gives you some inspiration to do some stuff. If you're having a little bit of a block and you don't know what to make, and you go troll it, you say, oh, that's cool, or you look at some like real life stuff, and you're like, oh, that's really neat, So, like, I would love to see them add more of these bases. Just a rework on Tajin where we can do cargo up there as well. That would be really cool. Alright, so I have infinite electricity on. I need to put the APU in here at some point too, but I want to kind of get this tested to make sure I can get this on Career Build Series. Is kind of the main thing I'm doing. Is the door misbehaving again? Crap. I don't want to get this door stuck here. I need this reliability in this door fixed. Alright. Hopefully this, if I come up here, I can trigger it, so. Alright, I'm going to pull it into FJ here. I need to fix that door. Yep, I don't know how many users are on there now. Let me look on my Discord. They added some new tools for me. They're always adding new tools. So, like, this one tells me 448. So, right now. Like, it used to be hard to find that. Now they have more tools for me. Like, I can go to the member list and search for people. But, But it's why, like, for example, why I have some of the rules on there, like, my rules: be kind, avoid profane language. I don't really care too much, but it's more like somebody's being over the top. No racism, sexism, etc. Avoid unsolicited criticism of builds. I put that one in there because, like, somebody was on Reddit saying, Reddit's so much nicer than the official. Everybody was just making fun of my build on the official Discord, and it's like, I had no patience for that. It's like, I've showed off some of my first builds, like my early builds before, and it's like, all of us made crap when we started, and it wasn't crap. It was a learning experience, and when people are rude about other people's builds, it's like, dude, like, it's disgusting to me why somebody would do that. It's like, it's very, very despicable behavior, frankly. It's like, why would you give somebody crap about something? They're trying to show their work. They're trying to show something they're proud of, and you're giving them crap about it. It's like, really? You're really that shallow of a person that you gotta do that? I have, like, no patience for that whatsoever. What is up with this? Why is this not behaving itself? I'm gonna increase the speed on this to, let's go to 2. So this will operate faster, and it's jamming up the door is what it's doing, and so what I'm hoping is that if it's faster, it will get out of the way faster. So I'm looking, see, it's not, why is it not opening? Something's up with it. Okay, I gotta see what's up with it. maybe I just screwed something up. I need to look at it. Let's fix that back to 1 in case it's not a timing issue. It's like, that's one of the reasons I put that rule on there is, you know, you're going to get warned by me if you start ragging on people's builds. And it's like, you know, people are trying to, you know, there's nothing worse than you worked on something, you're proud of it, you know, you spent hours on it. And, you know, like I said, you know, if you're just starting, your stuff's not going to be great. Nobody expects it to be great. You know, it's going to be, you know, a start. And when people are just, you know, people are shitting on your builds, it's like, you know, I just don't see why people are doing it. It's just like, come on, man. You know, you're not making yourself out to be a good person. You're just being a scumbag to people, you know, frankly. All right, let's see. So I could make it so it's not on a distance sensor. Let me see. Let's do it when the door is closed. This goes out to 1. When the door is not closed, this goes out. I think I'm overdoing it with this. So when this is not selected, I want this to go out to 1. Okay, and when that's selected, it will go to the -1 position. Let's try that. Let's get rid of this distance sensor. I think I'm overdoing it here and making it more obnoxious than it needs to be. Simple is safe. Why? Okay, it's not that. Okay, so it's not that jamming it up. I did make some changes here. I need to try to figure out what it is. The hard point's disconnected, alright. I need to find where it's hitting something. I did change some stuff around here. Alright, is that... It could be here, colliding. Sometimes you get your character close, you can get it to work free, and then I can see... Okay, so it's probably hanging up here. Come on. Stop doing that. Stop falling off. So it's iffy, that's kind of the problem. Why is this being iffy? Alright, so it's these pivots turning this rod that moves it. I want to fill these in too here, so I need to kind of deal with that as well. I don't know, it's a little bit inconsistent for me. I need to figure out why it's being inconsistent. Like, sometimes it opens right up, sometimes it doesn't. The consistency is a problem. What's it hitting? Oh, that's... Okay, that's not going to work like that, then. That's going to try to slam in the way. That's why I had the distance sensor on there. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll try to do it off this hard point here. So if this hard point is... It doesn't give me a connected, though. That's a problem. What I could do is if it has an ordnance type... Let's see. Let's see. I think utility's 1. So let's try this. Let's go to a dial. Let's read the ordnance type. And so when this is plugged in, it should give me an ordnance type. And what I can use is that number. When that number is selected, it means this is plugged in. When this is plugged in, that goes out. When it's not plugged in, that goes away. So that will fix it. That's another way to do it. All right, so ordnance type's reading 1. Let's open the door. That should read, I think, 0 when it opens up. And that reads 0. Bingo! There we go. We'll use ordnance type. That should fix that thing. Where you at there, door? Where the hell is it? Door. eventually here. Oh, flicky camera. So frustrating. Really is. Alright, so instead of distance sensor, I'm going to read ordnance type. I'll get rid of the distance sensor. Alright, so what we'll do here is, if this is 1, okay, if this is 0, I want this to read, I want that to be, not clamp, threshold. Alright, so if this is 1, if that's reading ordinance of 1, which means it's closed, it's going to go out to 1. We'll do that. That will let me get rid of the distance sensor on there. Right, and then this will read out, where are we at here? Find where I am in a second here. It's getting complicated to find things in this build. Right there, this will read to the door. Right here, ordnance type. All right, so let's see if that will work that fine now. That's the nice thing with being like 20 different ways you can do everything. If I change something in there, it's jamming like crazy now. If I get my character near, it wants to, will do it sometimes. So I'm trying to read the pivots. It won't let me read them. Okay. Let's cycle that. See what I can do. It's like getting jammed up. Alright, I'll work the hinge on this. I'm gonna go hit the bathroom really quick here. I'll throw you guys a quick ad while I do that. And I'll get a drink, and I'll be right back. Alright, I have returned. Let's read some chat. Yes, there's a missing block on the tail fin. That is where the beacon goes. So I had to pull the beacon to get the gear in. So the beacons, I'm gonna do dual beacons underneath probably. Yeah, I had to do that. Let's see. Yeah, I never really, like, I got Medieval Engineers when they first pretty much announced it, and then I never went back to it. You know, I don't regret spending money on it. Like, I'll look at how many minutes I have in that game. I have, like, literally minutes in that game. And I don't regret spending money on it. I supported a developer who made games that I liked. And that's part of the thing is, some people need to separate out is, you know, if you like that game, keeping them in business is the best way to keep having games you like, you know. I played 8 minutes of Medieval Engineers. So I don't know what I bought it for, but I only played for 8 minutes. And I supported a developer that I liked. I can't imagine I spent a lot of money on it. You know, and so, like, I bought Kerbal 2. I'm not happy with the progress of Kerbal 2, but the way to make Kerbal 2 is not to bankrupt the company making it. You know, that's not the way to do it. You know, like, check out the store page of Kerbal 2. So, like, most reviews are mostly negative, and all reviews are mixed. You know, Kerbal 2 is kind of a mess right now. You know, I have no problem with people sharing their honest opinions and talking about it, but, you know, trying to bankrupt the company is not the way to get it to go better, you know. You know, so hopefully Kerbal 2 can pull itself out of the nosedive. You know, Kerbal 1 is still more than playable. You know, so hopefully they fix the issues with Kerbal 2. Let's see what else we have on chat here. Oh yeah, David, he's starting to play some Industrial Frontier. I still need to make that video. Like, after they talked about during the space thing that they were watching 545's video on fishing. You know, I might have to make my industrial video because it's gonna be a lot of work, and it's like if they're not gonna watch it, or if it's not gonna garner any support for them to go back and fix it, then why bother? You know, but it seems like there might be. So what is up with this? Alright, so I need to see what's up with this, why this is misbehaving here. So did I add this hinge section, or was that always on there? Let's see what's up with this, why this door is jamming. Probably this right here is getting jammed into there. I bet that's what's going on. So I don't think I always had this part connected here, so. If I cut this, let's see. Nope, that's exactly the wrong one. Actually, I want to do both of those. Let's do this. I don't think I always had it like this, and that could very well be why this is screwed up now. Let's try that. Let me get this hinge working again. Alright. So that was probably likely the problems. See, like, that's coming through where you can see it. And so that was likely having a jamming issue. I need to fix that if I can see it, because I don't want to see it, but... I might try to re-engineer this altogether if I can. Let me see what I can do with this here. You know, putting this big hinge on there kind of gives a feeling of heft, which I kind of like. So all of this is... Problem is I'm very tight on space here, so like there's some mechanisms I'd like to work, but I really have to make... See, up. Let's try something. I'm gonna try to simplify this a little bit. Let's go through and try to simplify this out a little bit. See what I can do here. Okay, it needs to go out and then up. Let's cut this. Cut this one. Out, up. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to take some pivots. And we're going to go like this. And then what I'm going to do is I need to cut here and get exasperated for not having symmetry on. There we go. All right, cut here for now. All right, so the mechanism is going to look kind of like... I did this on Proteus. I did something like this. So if that is down, I need this one to be up. So they're just inverted from one another. So they'll be like that. All right. Now I'm gonna probably make these so they're actually not really attached. So it's kind of an invisible system you never see. So we'll see how that works out. And so this here is going to get attached to the blueberry. All right. And then, I'll show you where we're at here. This blueberry here is going to get attached to here. Okay. And then are we attached up to the door here? What's the story there? Okay, that's attached to the door. All right, let's grab a throttle. I want to manually see how this door functions. So this one will come up and out. Let's go on the roof here and do it. Problem is I want it to have linkage, so I'll probably have to try to fake the linkage or something. Oh, the hardpoint. Okay. Hardpoint's not going to release right now. Let's grab that out of there for now. Put you there for now. All right. All right, what's it doing? All right, let's go and start to. So that's going to lift, and that one's going to go out. All right. Make sure they're all plugged into that. All right. Interesting why this isn't working at all. All right, so that should be pushing that out. Where are we at here? Where's the nose? Right there. Okay, that's on the nose. So that should be rotating the bottom section out. And that should be counter-rotating. What? Is it these blocks that are screwing me up? I think it's these red blocks again that are kind of pinching me. Alright. Nope, that's not it. Door's right there, so that should be working. Hell, I'm getting lost in my build here. Get rid of this stuff so I can see the mechanism. Alright, so this should push the door out and then it should rotate it up. I might have these bottom ones backwards. I need to kind of look at it in a second here. No, let's take this and put it inside so I can see what it's doing as it's doing it. Should have infinite electricity on, I'll double check. Kind of how I did Proteus's door. I have a gift for keep screwing with mechanisms once they're working and then making them not work and then making them better, so. Alright, that looks like bottoms are backwards. Bottoms backwards, bottoms are... Okay. Can I get this to be... I'm gonna start chopping here. I need to see what I'm doing here. I'm working a complex mechanism here. I need to kind of see it. So that is all door pieces. Why are the door pieces like this? That could have been it right there. I could have just overloaded with crap. Might have just overloaded with crap, but see if I can get this a little bit more elegant. Alright. So let's see, where would my spaces be? My spaces would be here. Alright, so that's my spacing there. And then I have a space here, okay. Let's try something here. Pivot. Alright, so I want the door to go forward, out. Alright, so we'll do one mechanism at a time here, and I'll figure out what I'm doing next. Alright, so we'll do it one piece at a time, and then I will integrate the next piece. Alright. So this should bind up, but at least it'll kind of tell me what it's starting to do. What the hell? It feels like it's still like locked or something. Is it still attached to that upper section? It might be still attached. Let me look. Oh, it is. It's still attached to that upper section, I bet. Yeah, this right here is screwing it all up right there. Okay. That's why I didn't want to move. There we go. Okay, good. So that needs to then articulate there, so that's good. All right. We're getting stuck on the old attachment system. All right, and then we have a cavity in here, so what I'll do is I will go... And so if this is going, let's see. That's going to rotate. I need the door to rotate the opposite direction. What do I just connect that to? Get out of there. Connecting this to things I don't want to connect it to. Excuse me. I need to cut the linkage, and I forgot to cut the linkage. Linkage can't stay there. It's it needs to be attached correctly, and then I need to cut the linkage out. So. I get bent so hard. Let's see. I didn't mean to delete the friggin' pivot. Okay. I need to reconnect the pivot. Ugh. Kind of gets frustrating. Be nice if when you took it back to the workbench, if you could, you know, back it up still. I need to shut off damage so I can see what the hell it's doing without it breaking. So what it should be doing, it should be keeping the door rotated there, and that should... Gonna try to pick the door up, but this should be rotating the door down. It doesn't seem to be doing that, so maybe I have it backwards. So let me try this. I have this on Proteus, but I'm just not doing it right so far. Alright, so that should be... Alright. Being annoying, this. I'll fix it. Yeah, it's definitely not the way I want to go. Let's try something. Might have something that will work here. Getting kind of a cross-section view of it's helping me to figure out what I need to do. I always go back the way it was if I need to, but that's not gonna work, right? The problem is this is such a tight area. That's why I did it the way I did it initially, was put it way in there. I don't want to add linear tracks or a bunch of nonsense either. Yeah, that's not going to work there. That will jam up. Had it work and I screwed it up at some point, and then now I'm struggling to get back to it. Hopefully my last save was not a bad time. Let's save this really quick and then I'll check the old save. This only needed a little bit of a fix, and I'm now trying to reinvent the wheel. I really like the way Proteus's nose works, but I don't have the space to do it the way I have this, so. Don't like that shows either, but. Alright, that works fine. I don't know why it's working fine now. Hopefully this wasn't too far before. Let me just read some chat. Nice. Yeah, I still have all my old builds, which is nice, you know. Alright, we're jamming up again. See, it's inconsistent, which I don't like, so I need to see where it's hitting. Alright, that thing is... Alright, so let's fix that. That is part of the problem. I fixed that before, but we'll fix it again. Alright, so let's redo this part. See how far back I am. Alright, so yep, I still have the legs in here, so keep the legs in there whether I use them or not. There'll be an option later. Right, let's fix this. So I want to go in the door controller again. Let's fix that again. So I want to get rid of the distance sensor. I don't care for the distance sensor. What I want to do is make that the ordinance type. Alright, so if this reads threshold gate of 0, 0 means it's disconnected. That will open that up. No. If this reads at 1, 1 is connected. If it's connected, go. If it's not, out. Okay. So let's hook that up. that didn't get out of the way. That did get out of the way, so it's not that causing the problem. See, it's doing a big phantom physics thing too, so I'm trying to see what it's grabbing here. What are you touching that you're not supposed to be touching? That's causing me so much grief. Trying to spot the culprit here. It's the inconsistency that I don't like. It's like it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, which is not good. Gotta up the gear ratio to try to force it through. But that's a thought. Alright, so I wonder if it's here where it's clipping through that it's making enough touch that it's causing problems. So that's pushing up, and then we're hitting here. So we're hitting on this right here. Okay. Let's try something. If I get this consistent, I can go back and work on it again the way I want it if I need to. Alright, so that seems like that's not having that issue. Alright, let's see if I can't get an attractive enough. I want to make it large enough that it looks like it could be holding this too, so. Alright, we'll fix that up. We'll make that look beefy. What is that across there? That's not helpful. I just saw it. Where was it? Saw something red right here. And that goes. A little beef on this. That looks a little bit beefier, like it could do the job. The other thought is to block those out. Let me see. Okay, I think I'll block that out, and I don't want to see like daylight underneath that, so let's fix this. All right, so we're getting there. Getting a new hinge built. All right, did Rasmus go? I think he did. All right, let's see. I want to cut these, and then what is this here? Ugh, stuck on the build again. All right, so what I'm going to do is go like this. All right, we'll go like that, and then I'll go like this. It's going to have to be sawtooth somewhere, so we'll make it sawtooth up top where I can't really see it. What am I doing here? Additive. Probably take a break after this. All right, there we go. So I can see that coming through, but it's not the end of the world. I'll paint it so that's all the right color. What is actually coming through that I can see? All right, so put one block in there. Now that looks like it's a little bit, bigger, like I could actually handle the weight of it. I might move all that ahead so that it comes to here. But one thing I like is I always thought it was cool, like if you're sitting in the cockpit and you can see the nose door. So might move that down one. We'll see. But I'm going to save it up here, and I think we'll take a break. Get ready here. All right, so special thanks to the members. We have Side of the Mountain, FS Gamer, Connor Boyle, Danny, Miles World, Anton Anderson, Sergeant Chaos, Aaron Parasol, and Citrus. If anyone's interested in subscribing, you can check down in the description below. Also, thank you for everybody for watching the videos. We should be getting close here on the end of voting for the Build Challenge Golf. Let me just quickly look and see. Build voting ends in 3 days. So please go there and vote for your favorite, for the community favorite for Build Challenge Golf. Trying to think if any more announcements. I don't think so. I think that's about it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, and thank you to Chicken Tour for being a patron. I forgot about that. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.